NASA has just confirmed 3I Atlas, the third interstellar object, has suddenly changed direction. On December 19, 2025, it will approach its closest point to Earth, only 270 million kilometers. The distance seems safe, but a small error can turn Earth into the last chapter of human history. Throughout history, every time a strange comet appeared, from Rome to China, it was associated with disaster or the collapse of an empire. Now, when data from Harvard and NASA revealed unusual organic compounds in 3I Atlas, the question suddenly became haunting. Is the past repeating itself? And are we about to touch a secret buried for thousands of years? In the human imagination, comets have never been just a streak of light in the sky. For thousands of years, they were considered lost pieces of ice carrying omens. The Romans trembled when they saw comets streaking across the sky, considering it a sign that their empire was about to collapse. In ancient China, historians recorded comets as flaming swords, brandished by the god of war, signaling chaos and death. Even in medieval Europe, every time a comet appeared, it was associated with disease and war. In the 21st century, modern science spoke up to reassure. Astronomers affirmed, comets are just ice remnants left over from the dawn of the solar system, wandering in long orbits, with nothing mysterious. Expeditions like Rosetta touched Comet 67P, confirming that it contained only water, carbon, and ice dust. The universe, under the lens of science, seemed to have lost its mysterious color. But then, the appearance of Oumuamua in 2017 fanned the flames of curiosity. The object accelerated erratically, prompting many scientists, including Harvard, to ask, could it be man-made? In 2019, Borisov reappeared, resembling a classic comet, but from outer space. But what really shook the scientific community was not the legend, but the data collected by 3I Atlas. Because in that cold, dark layer of ice, there were traces of something completely different, as if the object was carrying a buried message from outside the solar system. And it was here that the nightmare began to unfold. When the first spectroscopic lens was pointed at 3I Atlas, astronomers expected a familiar melody: water ice, carbon dioxide, mineral dust. Instead, the faint lines in the data revealed a strange melody. Among the familiar ingredients were traces of organic compounds never before seen in the solar system. They are not simply random chemical fragments. They are capable of forming chains, the backbones that on Earth are the basis of DNA, of life. A question immediately arises. If Atlas carries the primitive molecules of life, is it a messenger of hope from another world? Or worse, is it a gift sealed for millions of years, containing something that humanity should never touch? The silence in the lab when the data appeared was like a moment of ceremony. People looked at each other, but no one spoke, because everyone understood. A small grain of ice from Atlas could also be the seed of new life, or sow an epidemic that human medicine is completely helpless against. In the cold light emitted from the spectrum, a creepy line appeared: seed of life or seed of death. And that was the starting point for doubts, for the obsession that 3I Atlas was not just an ordinary comet. It could be a window into a truth humanity is not yet ready to face. If you want to continue the journey of unearthing the mystery buried in the ice, support us with a like, because the next part will reveal a much more terrifying prospect. Imagine just a single melted ice grain from 3I Atlas falls to Earth. It could release microscopic life forms that have been dormant for millions of years in the cold space of the universe. They have never touched humans, have never come into contact with the immune system of Earth's creatures. A silent, unpredictable invasion can start from just a drop of melted ice water. Science has proven this possibility is not far-fetched. In 2016, researchers in Siberia discovered the giant virus Mollivirus sibericum revived from permafrost after being buried for more than 30,000 years. Other viruses from a time before humans existed can still wake up when the ice melts, and that only happens on a familiar planet. So what does an iceberg that has drifted for millions of years in space, carrying the biological memory of another world, hold? It could be primordial life, like a puzzle piece that helps decode the origin of life on Earth. But it could also be biological curses, life forms so alien and dangerous that escaping would be enough to turn the blue planet into a wasteland. Scientists once called comets natural freezers, where samples of the universe are preserved. If Atlas is such a freezer, then its passing near Earth is like bringing an alien biological warehouse to our doorstep. In that warehouse, no one knows whether it contains hope or a death sentence. What makes this hypothesis even more horrifying is the coincidence with warnings from history. The Chinese once recorded that every time a comet appeared, epidemics broke out. In 541, Halley's Comet flashed across the sky, and soon after, the Justinian plague killed tens of millions of people. Centuries later, in 1665, when a comet appeared in the sky over London, the Black Death spread, taking nearly a third of the city's population. Of course, today's science explains it differently, but this coincidence still makes many people shudder. Could it be that the universe has repeatedly poured down pathogens from above? In the post-COVID-19 pandemic context, this fear is even more likely to touch the human heart. We have witnessed an invisible virus that can paralyze the whole world. Cities are closed, borders are sealed, economies collapse, and people are divided. If just a small virus on Earth can create such hell, what will happen if a virus from outside the solar system appears? Imagine the scenario. A small piece of Atlas falls into the atmosphere, disintegrates into rain, and falls into the ocean. In that water, ancient microscopic organisms awaken, begin to multiply, then spread by the sea breeze, by migratory birds, by the hand that accidentally touches them. They do not need to be destroyed immediately. They just need to gradually seep in, silently, until humans realize it is too late. The horror here does not lie in the rumbling explosion of a meteorite collision, but in the deadly silence of invisible enemies. No sound, no bright light, just a silent spread, step by step, until the whole planet is engulfed in a fever with no cure. That is why Atlas is no longer just a comet. It is a double door. One side can open the answer to the mystery of life. The other side can unleash an unknown nightmare. And we, like it or not, are standing in front of that door, while the clock continues to count down to December 19th, 2025. Will humanity call Three-Eye Atlas a messenger of hope? Or will it be branded as the cause of a global biological curse? Do you think the life hidden in Atlas is a gift or a curse? Share your thoughts in the comments section. And in the next part, we will delve into the prospect of a catastrophe that could change the entire planet. If one day, just a small error causes Three-Eye Atlas to deviate from its orbit, causing it to plummet towards Earth, all of humanity will witness a nightmare beyond imagination. Imagine a giant ice block traveling at more than 57 km/s crashes into the blue planet. In the moment of impact, the energy released is equivalent to thousands of nuclear bombs exploding at the same time. The ground shakes, the Earth's crust cracks open, and a giant crater visible from orbit appears. ash is thrown into the atmosphere, creating a black curtain that blocks the sun. Temperatures drop rapidly. Global winter could last for years, destroying agriculture, cutting off food supplies, and pushing humanity back to a period of famine. Just like the dinosaurs disappeared after the Chicxulub impact 66 million years ago, this time, the victims could be ourselves. But that's not the scariest part. Atlas is not just lifeless ice. It carries strange organic compounds unknown to science. The collision could release them into the atmosphere, falling on the oceans and land. They could trigger unexpected evolution, or turn Earth into an unintended biological experiment, with humans as the test subject. More worryingly, if dormant microorganisms exist inside Atlas, the collision would awaken them. An alien virus, released into the atmosphere, could spread at a terrifying speed, while the human immune system is completely blind. No medicine, no vaccine, no prevention. A global pandemic nightmare could strike, silently and unstoppably. Imagine a morning. The sky turns to a layer of red-gray dust. The fields are barren for lack of light. The cities are plunged into darkness. Temperatures drop to freezing, and water turns to ice. Meanwhile, an invisible epidemic spreads, taking human lives in despair. The entire planet becomes a giant laboratory where the survival of humanity is put on the line. Some scientists have called this a double apocalypse, a geological catastrophe from the impact, and a biological catastrophe from what Atlas carries. Either one would be enough to destroy civilization. But if both happen, there will be no room for humanity to continue writing history. The most terrifying thing is not the moment of explosion, but the silence that follows. A cold, desolate earth. No more bird song, no more children's voices. Only the wind whistled through the ruins of cities that once lit up. A silent planet, carrying an unanswered question. Is this the end, or the beginning of another life form that Atlas brings? In this moment, viewers are not only drawn into the epic vision like a movie, but also haunted by the question, if a disaster happens, what can humans do? Flee into space, build underground shelters, or helplessly watch history close? All of this makes 3i Atlas no longer an object flying through the sky. It becomes a symbol of the deepest fear, the fragility of civilization. Just one collision, everything we know, everything we have built, can disappear in the blink of an eye. The clock is still ticking down to December 19th, 2025, the moment Atlas makes its closest approach to Earth. Scientists say it's safe, but history has repeatedly reminded us, just a small anomaly is enough to rewrite the entire fate of this planet. But the strange thing is, in the midst of the prospect that makes the whole world shudder, a veil of silence has fallen. Some data about Atlas disappears after only a few hours. Reports are delayed, and NASA maintains an incomprehensible attitude. Are there mysteries that should never be published? If the prospect of disaster makes people afraid, then the unusual silence from the brain makes that fear even more suspicious. Shortly after Atlas was announced, a series of preliminary spectral data appeared on NASA servers. Within a few short hours, those numbers and charts were downloaded by a number of independent observers. But then, strangely, all the data disappeared. The archive returned an error, and the links were removed. The official explanation: we need more time to analyze. To the public, that explanation was like adding fuel to the fire. Because if there was nothing unusual, why remove the data instead of making it public to the global scientific community? And if Atlas was really harmless, Why has the official report not been released after many months? In that dark and ambiguous atmosphere, conspiracy theories began to flourish. One side believed that NASA and space agencies were deliberately hiding the truth to avoid causing panic. They asserted, if there were traces of strange organic compounds or even alien microorganisms, making it public would cause chaos in the world. The other side suspected that Atlas might have shown signs of unnaturalness, unusual orbits, accelerations, or radiation, and scientific officials did not want to spark debates about artificial alien objects. While NASA firmly asserts Atlas does not threaten Earth, that very assertion makes many people more skeptical. Because history has shown that whenever there is a sensitive incident, from UFOs to top-secret weapons projects, the government often chooses to deny it first, then stay silent. The so-called official reassurance is often the thickest veil of concealment. The academic community is also divided. Some Harvard scientists publicly commented, Atlas orbital data has many similarities with Oumuamua, the object that once caused the world to fiercely debate about the possibility of being an alien spy ship. But others say this is just a coincidence, and that excessive speculation only creates more baseless rumors. On social networks, clips and images labeled evidence spread at a dizzying speed. Some people claim to have seen unusual spectral lines before the data was deleted. Some say that some small research groups received silent warnings from the authorities. And so, public opinion is drawn into a vortex of ambiguity, where the line between truth and conspiracy theory becomes difficult to distinguish. What makes the story more creepy is the historical mysteries. Many observers recall that, since the Cold War, many important astronomical discoveries have been hushed up for reasons of national security. Is Atlas on that list? An interstellar object containing strange compounds approaching the solar system. Is this just normal? The strangest feeling is the lack of transparency. Instead of being public, NASA chose to remain silent. Instead of explaining in detail, they simply said, "Not dangerous." It is this information gap that has become fertile ground for imagination. Some believe that this is a way to hide the real danger. Others believe they are hiding a discovery that will change the entire understanding of humanity. In the end, what remains in the public mind is not peace of mind, but a big question. Is there anything in 3I Atlas that we are not allowed to know? And it is this question, not dry numbers, that motivates millions of people to discuss, argue, and wait. Because deep down, everyone understands. Silence is sometimes not safety, but a sign that a secret is too big to be locked. If you also feel that there are secrets buried behind this veil of silence, please share the video so that more people know. Because in the next part, we will enter the fateful countdown moment of Atlas. December 19th, 2025 is the moment when the entire astronomical community is looking up to the sky. According to calculations, 3I Atlas will reach its closest point to Earth, only about 1.8 astronomical units, equivalent to 270 million kilometers. Distance that sounds safe, but in the universe, just a tiny error, and all equations will become meaningless. Remember, ice on Earth once kept viruses intact for 30,000 years. They can still revive when melted, causing obsession for modern medicine. So what does a giant iceberg that has been drifting for millions of years in the cold of space hold? Is it a piece of the puzzle that opens the answer to the origin of life? Or is it a door to a biological curse that humanity will never be able to control? In the laboratories, the countdown has begun. With each passing day, Atlas moves one step closer to Earth's gravitational zone. Each new orbital data is checked down to the last decimal place, because scientists know that even a small change in the gravitational pull from other planets could warp its path. And if that happens, the apocalypse is no longer hypothetical. You can clearly imagine the heartbeat of the entire planet being forced to synchronize with the cosmic clock. A narrow door is closing, and we don't know when it will slam shut. Will December 19th, 2025 just pass as a harmless astronomical milestone? Or is it the beginning of an unprecedented dark chapter in human history? If you don't want to miss the next developments around 3I Atlas and the secrets that the universe still hides, please subscribe to the channel. Because sometimes, just one video later can bring clues that change the whole way we look at space. 3I Atlas can be the messenger carrying the seed of life, or it can be the torch that ignites the apocalypse. It reminds us that, although science has advanced very far, humans are still just small travelers in the vast universe, where countless secrets have never been deciphered. What's more important is not what Atlas brings, but how humanity chooses to face it. Will we tremble before the unknown, or will we learn to look straight at it, search for meaning, and prepare for the future? Perhaps Atlas is more than just an astronomical phenomenon. It is a mirror reflecting human insecurities and aspirations. The desire to understand, but also the fear of the price to pay when reaching the truth. Thank you for accompanying us until the last seconds of the journey to explore 3I Atlas. Every view, every minute you spend on this video is the motivation for us to continue digging into the untold secrets. If you feel that today's story has given you a new perspective, please leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments section, and spread this video to more people. Each of your responses will help this conversation become richer and more meaningful. And don't forget, this is just the beginning. Out there, the universe still has countless unanswered questions. What clues will the next objects bring? Or what warnings will they open? Stay tuned for the next video, where another secret is waiting to be revealed.